Welcome, everybody. You are at the right place. This is the 77th house concert of Story Crossroads. And if this is your first house concert ever, don't worry, there'll be more. And we actually have some of our past ones on our webpage, so you might even explore those even after this and get some bonus concerts, right? And we also want to welcome everybody. You are at the right place. This is the 70. Oh, yes, tech issues. Yes, sorry, excuse me. So, yes, you are at the right place. And we have echoes because it's that good, you know, the doubly good. There's 2 sevens, double sevens. Yeah, of course, right? And we really appreciate the Kartchners in opening up their home for us. So let's have a good round of applause to the Kartchners. Not only that, but we are also appreciative of both of our storytellers tonight. Now, just so you know, they're going to go back and forth, back and forth. I think they decided they kind of want to do a tag team thing. So that's what we're going to experience. Don't worry. If you suddenly see the second storyteller go down, the first one's going to go up and, you know, until the end. Wait, stories have ends. And then the end. Oh, wait, who am I? Oh, you might want to know. Oh, I guess that could help. My name is Rachel Hedman. I am the founding executive director of Story Crossroads. And we are going on our 9th Summit and Festival in May. So you want to check that out. There's info right over in the back. So at the end. And then you can also explore storycrossroads.org. Besides that, we appreciate the funding that keeps happening. So we have gotten continuous funding from Utah Humanities, from the Utah Division of Arts and Museums, from the Western States of Arts Federation, from the Salt Lake City Arts Council, the Zoo Arts and the Parks of Salt Lake County, and it's just really exciting. And then we have people like you who are helping us out too. And all those donations make a difference because not only do we have a summit and festival that features professionals as well as kids. Did you know we have kids on our stage? Did you know that we have like 40 community tellers every year and most of them are kids? Yeah, I'm looking at you. I'm thinking you're a storyteller. You're probably a storyteller too. Yep, I'm guessing. Yep. I didn't forget you, don't worry. And then I pointed to you, don't worry. Yes, all for you, everybody. See, yep. And then we also have house concerts every month. And then every month we have virtual workshops. So we're just busy. We just want people to know the art of storytelling, experience it and learn it and then experience it again. But enough of that. We want to get to our storytellers. And so first we will have Wayne Kartchner, but I'm actually introduce both. So I'm not going back and forth all the time. So Wayne Kartchner, not only is this his home, but he knows all about Hubbard County. He'll tell you more of that. And when I moved to the Utah area, and there used to be a festival in Farmington, and one of the storytellers I remembered, one of the first ones I remembered, is this guy, is Wayne. And I fell in love with his Hubbard County stories. So we get to hear those. And then we also have Karl Behling. And he has been telling stories for, holy cow, I don't even, do I even put a number out there, Karl?
Longer than I've been alive.
Longer than you've been alive. Yeah, because of course some of us tell stories before we've been alive. And he is the current Utah Storytelling Guild president. And aren't you the chapter president?
Yeah.
Oh, and the chapter president with the Utah Storytelling Guild of Farmington Bay. So whoa, you know, leadership galore. So let's put a round of applause to both Wayne and Karl, but Wayne's going to be up first. Round of applause.
Well, a little housekeeping. If anybody has one of these, you know what you're supposed to do. Turn them off. And I want to welcome my Spanish teacher who is in Venezuela right now, is supposed to be listening to us. And if she is, Yeslenda, bienvenido y espero que te guste esto. And my students in Africa might be watching. They probably won't be watching right now because it would be 2 o'clock in the morning and my head is cut off right there. So you might want to,
It's a little delayed.
It's delayed.
it's a little delayed. Okay. So I'll start out with my first story. I'm going to turn into character now. These folks wanted me to tell you a little bit about Hubbard County. Now, for those of you who don't know, Hubbard County was was settled a long time ago by old Mother Hubbard. We still have some pretty interesting characters out there. I own a mercantile out in Hubbard County, and I have 3 rules for success when you have a business. Treat your customers fairly. Don't argue with them, even if you think they're wrong, and try to cross sell. Now, I'm going to illustrate this with what happened the other day. I was at my mercantile behind the counter talking with Jack. And while I was talking with Jack, these 3 pigs walked in, and they wanted something to build a house with. Oh, now I got to tell you about Jack before I get on the 3 pigs. Don't let me get distracted. Jack is not the sharpest knife in the drawer. He was walking in front of my mercantile, leading a cow, and I said, Jack, what you doing with the cow? And he said he was leading her to market to sell her. Well, I know Jack, and I know those fellas at the mercantile, at the market, and I know they was going to try to cheat Jack, so I wanted to kind of prepare him. And so I looked around, and my supplier had just brought me some new seeds, and I grabbed a few beans. My supplier said they were almost magic beans. They grew so fast. And just to show him that people would try to trade things for the cow that weren't worth it, I said, Jack, would you take these beans for that cow? You know, before I could stop him, he grabbed those beans and was out of here. Well, that breaks my rule about being fair. Beans for a cow just is not fair. But I figured I'd go talk to his mother, Widow Spratt, and straighten things out. I couldn't do it right then because I had to take care of these 3 pigs. Oh, you got me distracted. Don't do that. I got to tell you about the 3 pigs. Now, these 3 pigs, the 2 of the pigs are real pillars of community. The oldest pig has a stall at the market. He sells roast beef. The next pig, he stays home. He doesn't eat no roast beef. He has vegetables. He don't eat no roast beef, but stays home. The 3rd pig, I'm afraid he's a little bit of an embarrassment to the family. He comes in every weekend and drinks with his close friend, the building inspector, Jim Beam. And he gets so soused. Late at night, he'll run home yelling, wee, 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 all the way home. It wakes everybody up, and it's just ridiculous. Oh, now I got to tell you, I didn't tell you very much about Jack. You know, Jack and his family, he lives with his widowed mother now, but when Jack Sr. was alive, everything was doing fine. Jack Sr. was a good provider. He made a good living jumping over candlesticks. But it was a real tragedy the way he died. There's that well just north of town on the hill. Jack went up to get a pail of water, fell down and broke his crown. A couple of days later, Jill Harbison fell down the same hill. She didn't die, fortunately. The county's put up a big fence there now. It's a lot safer. So, you know, but it was a real tragedy, and we all feel the loss. And the whole community is kind of rallied around to help the Spratt family. But, you know, don't think I would cheat anybody, but especially Widow Spratt and her boy. I was going to make sure that they was okay. Oh, but I got to tell you about the pigs. They come in wanting something to build a house with. Now, the youngest pig, the one that's kind of, he saw some straw I had. Well, this straw, I got it from an old man named McDonald who used to have a farm. And on this farm, he had some straw, and well, he had some straw there, he had some straw here, and everywhere he had some straw. And I bought the straw from old McDonald and sold it to the pig. And well, I tried to tell him that straw wouldn't make a very good house, but you know, he wanted to do it, and that's my number 2 rule: is don't argue with him, even if you think they're still wrong. And he ended up making a fairly nice looking house. It looked like a big wind would blow it down. But anyway, I don't think he would have gotten approved if he wasn't friends with the building inspector. But his older brother, the middle pig, saw some sticks I had out back. I've been meaning to throw those away. And so I sold them to him for just not but delivery charge. And again, I told him we could take those sticks and we could plane them down and make nice boards out of them. But he wanted them just as they was. And he made a fairly good house out of them. Again, didn't look like it would stand up to a strong wind. But I gotta tell you, don't think that I didn't take care of the widow Spratt. I went down there about 3 days later and talked to her. I don't know what happened. They've been poor as church mice since Jack Sr. died. But when I got there and told her what happened and said that I was willing to trade back, give her back the cow, she said, no, things had worked out well. And she was happy with the trade and they had some money. And not only that, Jack has this heart. He plays it at community events. And they have this goose, lays really nice eggs. I sell them at my mercantile, and get so much out of them, you'd think they was made of gold. But she's happy with it, and I still got the cow, named her Mabel. And anyway, and the oldest pig, got to tell you about him. He saw some bricks I had from another job, and wanted to do that. Now, he's the smart one. He used standard building materials. Now, we were looking at plans. Now, this comes to cross-selling. In the middle of that, there was a big fireplace. And I had this cauldron I bought from 3 old hags in this town. And I said, now, this cauldron would look really good in that fireplace. And he was so grateful that I had suggested that. First stew he made in that, he brought me some. He's a smart guy, not much of a cook. It tasted like a dog had drowned in it. But anyway, it shows how much he appreciated it. Now, this may surprise some of you. I am a single gentleman, and it might surprise you since I am so successful at business and obviously as good looking as I am. I wish that didn't get any chuckles. But I am single, but I have been seeing a lot of Miss Muffet lately, and I may be going back and asking her to make it a little permanent. And I think my 3 rules of business might help. Treat them fairly. Don't argue with them, even if you think they're wrong. Cross-sell. I don't know how that works, but you get the idea. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Wayne, thank you. Another round of applause for Wayne, please. Every time we get talking about Hubbard County, I get thinking. Don't look so surprised. I do, I think. And what I think sometimes, my wife accuses me of just like going sideways. So I was going to tell you some fairy tales tonight, and we'll see how it goes. Shall we start? Once upon a time, I think that's the way it goes. Once upon a time, there was a grasshopper, and this grasshopper loved nothing in the world more than to make beautiful music. And he loved to make beautiful music in the sunshine, on the side of a hill, overlooking a pleasant valley. And while he was out there one day just making music, you know that music, don't you? What is it? It's what? It's The Morning of the Fawn by Fauré. Just so you know. Okay.
I was about to say that.
I knew you were. This takes a little jog sometimes. And he was doing this music, and then he's watching, and there were some ants. There were some ants crossing right over in front of him where he was looking down at the beautiful valley and making beautiful music. And each one of those ants was carrying something. And he looked at it and says, I learned something in school one time. He said that an ant can carry 10 times its body weight. That was pretty amazing. And they were doing it. No kidding. I mean, they'd carry whole grains of rice and the whole kernels of corn, and they were just a line of them going this way, going this way, going this way. And one time he called out to him and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And one of them put down his grain of rice and he says, You should be getting ready. You should be preparing because winter's coming. And the grasshopper said, yeah, I know winter's coming. So what? The day is fine. The sun is warm. It's time to make music. And he started in with, never mind, we don't have time for that. But he was playing beautiful music. And the ant says, no, 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 no. Winter's coming and you got to save up some food for the winter or you're going to die. I said the grasshopper. And he continued to play music while he watched the ants going by and going by and going by. Well, he made wonderful, he took some forays into jazz. He did some classical. He did some hip hop. He could do all kinds of music. He was just rocking it around the clock. And as the ant had predicted, winter did start to come. It started in the fall, toward the end of fall. Actually, the fall was beautiful because everything was falling, and you know the acorns were ripe, and you know, all the other stuff on the trees was ready to eat, and the grasshopper was living large. I'm telling you what. And all these ants, day after day after day, still. And when it started to be fall, they started running faster. He's like, it's still nice out here. We can still make music. And he paid no attention to the ants until one day it started to rain. And it rained and it rained and it rained. And it started to get really cold. Well, out where the ants were living in their little ant hills, the rain came down and it kind of percolated down through the ground. You know how rain does that? Kind of percolating down through the ground. And it got into their little ant hills and down the tunnels and this way and that way. And followed all the little ant tunnels around into their storage rooms and stuff under the ground. And then winter came. Cold snap, bam, and everything froze. It froze solid all the way down. And you know what? All those ants who had worked all summer and all fall, storing away their food, the water got into those food storage areas and soaked it and then froze it solid. And all them ants in all the ant hills, they all died trying to gnaw through the ice to get at their food. Meanwhile, the grasshopper had been invited by the bats and the moles and the badgers who were going to be hibernating underneath the roots of this big oak tree where they dug under and made a beautiful place to hibernate in. See, they had invited the grasshopper to come and provide evening's entertainment, like, you know, dinner music parties. And so he played all of the Christmas songs for them while they were celebrating and passing around the wassail. And Grasshopper was eating good. And then he played for the new da 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 da, and everybody was raising a glass to him because he's making such beautiful music. And then he played for well, it was Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and he played something for that. It was beautiful. And then come along Valentine's Day. Oh boy, did he play good music for Valentine's dance that they all had down there. And then it was what comes after Valentine's Day?
President's Day.
President's Day, absolutely. And you have to sing the song. It's all in alphabetical order. You know that, don't you? It starts with George Washington. Just kidding. It's not an alphabetical order. I mean, he played the whole, all 47 presidents song, and everybody sang along and had a great time. And then while he just harkened back for just a second to and spring sprung. And they all came out and looked at the sun shining all warm again. And the grasshopper went off to his favorite place on the hill, watching all the beauty blooming around him and playing his music. And there were no ants.
Well, I am really kind of sorry here that I'm not quite prepared for the second one. You see, Little Red Riding Hood was supposed to bring a projector and a screen for me to have a real nice slide presentation for this next thing. But she just has a tendency to stop and pick flowers. But I'm gonna pretend there's a screen here and tell you what should be on it and tell you about it. See, there is a kind of a crisis in this country of not enough housing. Now, many municipalities have decided to take this to solve part of the problem with accessory dwelling units, or ADUs. That's another living space on your property for another family or person. Now, most people, when they think of ADUs, think of a mother-in-law apartment, but there's so much more than that. Now, if you want to, you can Google ADUs in Utah and get more information about that. But this first slide, sorry about that. This first slide here, it shows a very interesting ADU that is a large shoe. A widow and her large family lives in it. It's very cozy. There's a kitchenette in the toe. The children's bedrooms are in the ankle portion here. It provides a reliable monthly income for the owner, a Mr. Charming, I believe his first name is Prince. And he got it from a giant who had bunions and needed a new shoes. I believe Paul was his first name. All it took to change it into an ADU was to put a roof on it, cut a door in the side, and put about $1,000 worth of athlete's foot powder in it. Now, I see there's a question in the back. Yes, I'm aware that there were allegations that the widow was abusing her children by spanking them too much before they went to bed every night. I personally know this family. We can agree that it was a stressful time. They have received counseling and things are much better now. And really that has nothing to do with ADUs. We're going to move on with that. This next place shows two buildings, two ADUs, a straw house and a stick house. Now, I want to be very careful how I say this. Sometimes the way you build your ADU will limit who is going to rent it. As long as you're willing to offer it to anybody, you're legally okay. The person who built these offered it to the king's horses and king's men. They did not want to. The only people who wanted to rent it were these two little pigs that you see off to the side. The owner of these two, is the next slide, owns a brick house for himself. You can see him seated in front on the wolfskin blanket. Now, up to now, I've only talked about the advantages of an ADU, better income, providing a good place for a new family. But there are some downsides if you aren't careful. This next slide shows a unit built by three bears. It ended up okay, but because they did not plan properly, they started building one that was too big. They had to tear that down. They built one that was too small. Finally, on the third try, they got it just right. They could have saved a lot of money with planning. Now, it is kind of interesting that the tenant here, I personally know about this, was a juvenile delinquent that they met when she broke into their house. Now, she has since reformed and is a very nice young lady. But when she was young, she was a terror. Anyway, the next slide. Again, this is one where really you should use, if you can, use traditional building materials. This was built of gingerbread, which when I heard about it, I didn't see any problem with gingerbread. You probably can't see any problem with gingerbread. It's well insulated. It's sturdy. But the consortium that did it, Seven Dwarves, personal friends of mine, when they built it out of gingerbread, their first tenant, they didn't do a sufficient background check. They rented it to a witch who had previous criminal history. She used the gingerbread and candy construction to lure victims. They are currently being sued for creating an attractive nuisance. This could have been avoided had they used more traditional material. The next slide, please. Here you see a hollow tree. Again, you must offer it to anyone. But if you try to rent out a hollow tree, the only tenants you're going to attract are either wise old owls or elves. This one is currently being rented by elves who are using it to bake cookies. It really smells good when you go by. If you're diabetic like me, you don't want that. But the added advantage of that is that they'll sneak into the owner's house and repair his shoes in the middle of the night. The next one is a large pumpkin owned by a Mr. Peter. It's only big enough for one tenant, but it's very cozy and very nice. And the tenant loves it. Next slide is, as you can see, 2 holes in the ground. The first one is owned by a Mr. Bilbo Baggins, which he lives in. The next one he rents to Miss Alice in Wonderland. And they are very nice. As you can see, ADUs, if you build an ADU, you can get yourself extra income and you can provide a place for a family in need. And I urge all of you to consider something like that. Thank you very much.
Well, okay, they say there's a future in real estate. Huh? No, I don't want to tell this. There was another one. Yeah, that one would do. Okay, let's do this one. Now you have to understand storytellers do this, okay? Storytellers live with little voices that live on both shoulders. And one voice over here is saying, tell me, tell me. And the other voice over here is saying, no, no, tell me, tell me. And sometimes you don't know which one to do. And so you go like this until you go, and then you just make up your own mind. Once upon a time, that starts fairy tales. There were 3 goats, and they lived on this hill that had a lot of grass on it. Well, at least it used to have a lot of grass on it, because goats really do eat everything. And so they did. And these 3 goats who lived on this side of the hill, there was a river down below them, and then there was another hill on the other side. This one didn't have any grass left on it, and that one had a lot of grass on it. And so the youngest of these billy goats, his name was Uff. Uff says to everybody else, says, hey. And they looked across there and said, yeah, I can see it. He said, no, no, hey. And he said, yeah, we know, we heard you the first time. He said, no, that over there, that's hey. And I'm gonna go get me some. They said, oh, okay, that's just fine. Because the middle one, Ruff, he was thinking the little one, Up, was kind of like, you know. And so, but he started off, darned if he didn't find a bridge right over that river. See, people don't often look up when you look for, they're always looking down for the bridge. Right? They look up for the bridge. And he found that bridge, and so he started across it, across the bridge. He got about halfway across that bridge, when out from underneath the bridge jumped a big, ugly, ferocious, say it, troll. Troll, you know it, don't you? And the troll jumped up on the bridge and he says, who's crossing my bridge? And Up said, it's just me. I'm crossing the bridge and I'm gonna get some grass. And the troll says, nobody crosses my bridge. And I've said, yeah, but that's how I'm gonna get over there to get the grass. And the troll's, no, you're not, I'm gonna come eat you. And Up, being a smart one, because he wasn't at all, he said, no, you don't want to eat me. I'll only be just a little tiny snack for you. You want to wait for my brother. He's big and fat. And the troll said, all right, get on there. I'll wait for him. Well, Up was watching, Ruff, his brother, the middle-sized goat, was watching all this, and he saw how Up dealt with the troll. He thought, I can do this. He says, watch this. He was speaking to Gruff, his oldest brother. Watch this. And he started across the bridge. Trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, till he got out to the middle of the bridge. And out came the troll. The troll, exactly. The troll jumped up on it. Who's crossing my bridge? And Ruff said, well, it's me. I'm the middle goat, and I'm Ruff. But I ain't tough. And the troll said, that's okay, Tough. I like it nice and sweet and chewy anyway. Because I'm going to come eat you. And Ruff said, no. You remember what I've told you, don't you? I don't remember nothing, Tough. You're confusing to me. And Ruff said, no. You don't want to eat me. I'd just be like half a lunch. What you really want to do is wait for my oldest brother, Gruff. Now, he is not only big, he is fat, and he is juicy. And the troll said, is that all right? And Ruff said, Ruff said, yeah, that's right. Gruff, you want to wait for Gruff? He's coming up like that. And the troll said, okay, you get on there. I'll wait for him. And so Ruff went over to the grass, and he joined Up on the other side. Well, Gruff had been watching all this, and he wasn't real pleased with the way things were going, but he thought, yeah, I'm going to go get me some of that hay too. So he starts across the bridge, trap. And who jumps out from underneath the bridge? The troll. The troll. And the troll jumps up on the bridge and says, who's crossing my bridge? And Gruff says, I am. And the troll, who are you? Because nobody crosses my bridge. And Gruff said, you mean so them other two goats who already crossed the bridge got the same name? And the troll said, what are you talking about? He said, nobody and nobody, right? And he said, nobody crosses you. Look. And the troll said, you're just trying to confuse me. And Gruff said, too late. And then the troll, okay, get back to business, he said. Are you trying to cross my bridge? And Gruff said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I am trying to cross your bridge. And then the troll said, nobody crosses my bridge. I know that's what I said, so there are already nobody over there. No, stop that, said the fire. Stop that. I'm going to come eat you up. Gruff said, I don't think so. And he put all four of his feet down on the bridge. He lowered his head. Like that. And he had the horns that had the double curl on them already. And he was ready. And he's eyeballing the troll. And the troll was eyeballing Gruff. And they both charged at the same time. And they came to the middle of the bridge, and Gruff caught that troll, boom, and butted him right off the bridge. And the troll went, "Ah!" Then all of a sudden, and the troll got a hold of the side of the bridge. And he said, "Wow!" He said, "That was great! Do it again!" And see, what had happened was that when Gruff had his horns down like this and caught that troll, he caught him by the suspenders and knocked him off the bridge. And about the 5th time they did it, the troll went, and they did it over and over and over until finally the troll had kind of enough. And Gruff and the troll went into business. They went touring. They toured all the circuses and the fairs and things like this, and they made a lot of money at it because Gruff and the troll under the bridge had created bungee jumping.
I am really embarrassed. Oh, want me to pull this out? Whoop. I am really embarrassed to have to come to you tonight and tell you this. I really have to apologize to all of you. But I'm going to have to go back to the beginning there. This won't make any sense. It all goes back to my friend Peter. Peter Peters, his name. When he was born, his parents didn't have enough but for one name. So they named him Peter Peter, so they didn't have to get 2 names. Now that happens sometimes in our town. There's also Mary Mary. Now, Peter Peter doesn't mind having not but one name, but Mary Mary doesn't like it. She's a little upset. Mary Mary's quite contrary. Now you can tell Mary Mary's house, it's the one with the beautiful garden in front, full of silver bells and cockle shells, and there's pretty maids all in a row admiring it all the time. But anyway, getting back to Peter Peter loves pumpkins. Peter Peter just loves pumpkins. If you want a pumpkin recipe, you go to Peter Peter. There's pumpkin pies, pumpkin cakes, pumpkin fritters, pumpkin anything. Peter Peter knows how to cook it. And not only that, Peter Peter has decided to enter these giant pumpkin contests. You know, growing the biggest pumpkin you can grow? Well, he's got a secret. Now, you all know to grow a big pumpkin, everybody knows this part, that you plant pumpkins and peas to make perfect, pretty plump pumpkins and peas. But, besides that, Peter, he makes pumpkins so big. Mrs. Peter her mind's going. She's getting a little old and she's wandering. And so he's having trouble keeping her in the yard. So he hollered out a big pumpkin, made a little settee, put it in the front yard, and she sits there doing her knitting, and now he keeps her very well in the front yard. But anyway, he's got another secret besides planting the pumpkins with peas. What he does, he takes his air compressor and he goes out there and he sticks that air compressor in the back of the pumpkin and turns on the air for just a few minutes. He says, just a few minutes, not too long. And it kind of plumps it up a little bit. Well, I wanted to see how big of a pumpkin I could grow. Now, I don't have an air compressor, but I have a helium tank. So I went out and I took my helium tank and I stuck it in the end of the pumpkin, turned it on a little bit every day, just a little bit of helium. Now, I use that helium tank to do balloons. I sell them for birthday parties and whatnot. But you know what? I think there's something new we got to get. I could sell more balloons if we could get this started. Balloons at weddings. Could you imagine how it would be if the bride would just walk down with balloons in each fist, handing them out to all of the wedding guests. Now, you young lady, you look like you're about the age to get married pretty soon. If you want balloons at your wedding, you come see me. I'll get you balloons, you know. When the guy proposes to you, you tell him you want balloons at your wedding, and I'll help provide them. Okay. But anyway, getting back to my pumpkin, I stuck the helium in the end of the balloon, and just the other night, this comes to where I have to apologize. I turned the helium on. That was such a beautiful night. Just such a gorgeous night. And just then, Miss Muffet come along and sat down on the tuffet beside me and brought some curds and whey, and we was eating our curds and whey, and besides that, well, never you mind what we was doing. That's none of your business. But I did get distracted, and I forgot about the helium going into the pumpkin, and just then the neighbor's cat started into fiddling. Cat fiddling, doing high diddle diddle on the fiddle. And yeah, that's such a beautiful tune. And my little dog started laughing at the cat playing high diddle diddle. And it's just so beautiful. And Mabel's the cow I got from Jack back then. Mabel listened to it and just started dancing, just started swaying, her backside swaying like that, and her udders swaying the other way. And so Mabel was dancing and swaying, and my dog was laughing, and the cat was fiddling, and I set my dish and my spoon on top of the pumpkin, and we're just watching the whole thing and forgetting all about the helium. And just then, the cat got to that high note in high diddle. You know that high note in high diddle diddle, right? The really high note, the really one that makes you really want to leap. Well, it made Mabel want to leap. She took a jump and landed right on top of the pumpkin, and it broke the gourd loose of the vine. And there's so much helium in it that it just kind of took off. And I think that her jump took her over the moon, and the dish and the spoon ran away with it. And well, that comes to my apology. Now, don't you worry none about Mabel. I think the helium's going to leak out of that. The pumpkin's going to come down, and Mabel will wander back in a few days. But, you know, normally when you walk through a cow field, you have to look down and be careful. But when you all leave tonight, I would suggest you look up and make sure you're not in the splatter zone. And if the finish on any of your cars is damaged, well, I sincerely apologize, and I will pay for the car wash. So let me know if that happens. Thank you.
Y'all know a fairy tale. It goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a little red hen, and she lived in a barnyard, and wait, y'all just glazed over. What if the little red hen wasn't a hen? What if the little red hen was a starfish? Would that change the story just a little bit? Would it fracture this fairy tale if I was to do that? Let's begin. Once upon a time, there was a little red starfish, and she lived just a little bit offshore from the beach where the waves would roll over the top and up and down, and she just loved it. And she would up and down the beach looking for something to eat. Now, she had 3 friends. Of course, they weren't, in this case, a cat, a dog, and a pig. Would they be? So what's one of the 3 friends that the starfish, would have?
Axolotl.
Salt water. Who said clams? Come on up here, Joe.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the participation. Okay, now, if you were to be a clam and somebody asks you a question, how would you answer? I mean, what would you do to answer the question?
Yeah.
Like that, okay, everybody? Clam, right? Now, this little red starfish had 3 friends. So besides the clam, what's another friend that starfish would have? A turtle, like a sea turtle?
Yeah.
You want the hawkbeak turtle or the little ones? Oh, the hawkbill turtle. Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, come on up. Come on, Alexis. Here you go. Bring it with you. That's okay. Now, you're gonna have to stand up on something. This is Alexis down here.
How come I'm so tiny?
Okay, so how would a hawk-billed turtle like move? Like it? Okay, everybody, this is a hawk-billed turtle, right? Got it? Okay, here we go. You gotta stand up on the chair and I'll promise to hold on to you. There you go, there you go, okay. One more friend.
Pigs swim.
Pigs don't even fly. One more underwater, yes. A dolphin, very nice, come on up. Okay, now, if you were to talk to a dolphin, what would a dolphin sound like? The answer to that. Go ahead.
I don't really know.
Right? You ever watch Flipper? Okay, so a dolphin is gonna, let's do this, okay? Dolphin, you got the bottlenose dolphin, right? Yeah, so the bottlenose dolphin is gonna go like this. Can you do that? Go, which hand? Bottlenose dolphin, here we go, everybody. Okay, very good, here goes the story. One time, the little red starfish, she was along the bottom of the ocean and she came across a great huge bed of oysters. And she called all of her friends. She said, "Oh, friends," she said, "who would help me gather all of these oysters?" And the bottlenose dolphin said,
Not I.
"Come on, do it. Go ahead."
Not I.
Not I. Everybody?
Not
All right,
I.
very good. Okay. And the hawk-billed tortoise said, sorry. Hawk-billed tortoise said,
Not I.
"Not I." Everybody, come on.
How about boys?
Good. And
Not
the clam said, "Not I." Everybody, not I. Very good.
I.
And so the little red starfish said, "Fine, I'll do it by myself." And she did. And she would walk over on top of an oyster and she would sit down kind of like this and then she'd crawl back over where she was gathering them up. Over and over and over like this until she had gathered all the oysters. And then she said, "Oh, friends, who will help me shuck the oysters?" You know what shucking is? It's not when you go, "Oh, shucks." That's not it. No, the shucking is when you take a little curved knife like this and you put it down inside of an oyster and you break it open and you get the gooey stuff inside. Oh. You like that? Oh, okay, well. Anyway, she said, "Who will help me shuck the oysters?" And the bottlenose dolphin said,
Not I.
"Good." And the hawk-billed tortoise said,
Not I.
and the clam said, "Not I." And she said, "Fine, then I'll do it by myself." And she did. And she shucked all those, you know how you do that? As a starfish, you settle right on it and you suction right onto the top of it, and then you just like that. And then you get all stuff out of the inside. And then she's fine. I'm gonna make oyster stew. Yes, indeed. She said, "Who would like to help me make the oyster stew?" And the bottlenose dolphin.
Not I.
And the hawk-billed tortoise said,
For some reason, I really want to say I would.
"I think that's too nice." And the clam
I
said,
know, I'm nervous.
"All right, okay." And she said, "Fine, I'll do it by myself." And so she got the big pot and she filled it up with seawater because it was already nice and salty, right? And she got all the pot and she built a fire underneath it and she started, boiling it up. And she put some sea cucumber in it and she put some kelp in it and she put some other, delicious things, a little bit of coral, to give it that kind of crunch. And she put all the oysters in there and started cooking and cooking and cooking. And this is the point where somebody in the back always says, "You can't build a fire under the ocean."
That is true.
That is what?
That is.
It's a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale. Okay. And so, and it started to waft out through the waves and through the water until then, and the bottlenose dolphin said, And the hawk-billed tortoise said, come on, hawk-bill. Sniff.
Sniff, sniff.
And the clam said, come on, everybody.
Sniff, sniff.
And finally it was all done. And the little red starfish said, who will help me eat the oyster stew? And the bottlenose dolphin said,
I will.
I will. And the hawk-billed tortoise said,
I eat right now.
what?
Not you right now.
Because I am actually kind of hungry.
Well, we can't eat till we have enough friends. So do you want to help me eat the
Yeah.
oyster stew?
Yes, I would.
Okay, everybody, yes, I will. Okay. And the clam said, I will. I will. Okay. And the little red starfish said, no, you won't. You did not help me gather the oysters. You did not help me shuck the oysters. You did not help me make the oyster stew. I made it by myself.
So fun.
And what's that?
Is it like?
We put that in the pot too. Okay. It's an underwater fly. Okay, you ever heard of fly fish? People go fly fishing all the time. So we add some fly fish to the stew. And she said, finally, the little red starfish said, you did not help me with any of those things. And I did it all by myself. So I will eat it by myself. And she did. You know how starfish eat? They have a little mouth right up here. Right up here. And so they climb over on top of whatever they're going to eat. And they kind of settle down on it. And then they secrete digestive juices out of it until it gets nice and gooey. And then they go. Just like that. Thank them for their participation. Thanks, Bono. Thank you, Clam.
Oh, wow. So we got to have so many stories. We got to go back and forth to Hubbard County. And then we had some ants and then poor ants and then grasshoppers. And we had, what else did we have?
Dolphin.
Bottlenose dolphin. We had that too.
That cute tortoises that are like talking.
Ah, yes, we had all of that. But guess what? Guess what? I have to say the end. I know. Here we go. Oh. But good news. Good news. After this house concert, there's another house concert. Yes. And even those of you out there in Stream World or you're watching it later, yes, there will be more. So every month we have it. So the next one is going to be on Friday, January 19th. And we rotate around. And if you ever want to host, let us know. But the next one will be in Lehigh. So here we are in Farmington, then we'll go over to Lehigh, and then we just kind of jump all over the place. And we will have Cassie Ashton, who will be performing, and she is going to be doing some kind of bold bravery and backbone. And they're all tales of different people in history. So you'll see quite a mix there. And there's some names that maybe you've never heard before, or maybe you're an expert and you know them all. So you'll just have to come. And whether that's in person or streamed, you're welcome to come. Now, also in the back, There's bookmarks. If you scan the QR code or even there's a web link on there, it will show you our upcoming events. We always show like the next month worth. So we keep that on your refrigerator. It keeps you informed, not just of the house concerts, but also with the virtual workshops and of course the Summit and Festival in May. And we are going to thank the Kartchners again for hosting. Can we put a round of applause for them? And we're going to thank Wayne Kartchner and Karl Behling, our storytellers. And we're going to thank our 3 volunteers who are up here and all of you, because really when you're an audience member, you're kind of volunteering to listen and participate in some way or form. So to yourself and the live stream people, you can pat your shoulder or whatever you want to do.
And Rachel.
Yes. Oh, and me? Now here's the thing. Those who are live streaming, this is the part where I cannot share with you. I'm sorry. In person is really nice because not only, but there's also refreshments. But for you, you can go find some snack, then you can feel connected, have that snack, feel free. But also I'm going to switch the screen for you on live stream so that you can see about the one coming up next. So again, thank you so much, everybody. Woo!